My name is Mike Sterling. I have a house very near here. I can almost see it from here. I've been coming here all my life. I was born in the United States, but my parents were from Canada, so this was the land of milk and honey to me as a child, so as Jane will know. The way I got started, there was a man who lives here now named John Michael, and he'd written a series of historical booklets about the town and on Chantry Island and things like that. And I was working with Bob and a distant cousin of mine. We were looking for a project to do, and the town spent $15,000, brought in an outside consultant to have the town project a vision of itself 10 years hence. People thought it was an impossible project to do. They liked it, but they didn't think it could be done. And the way Douglas got our attention, he said, write on a 3x5 card, one side of it, like you were writing a postcard. And Jane and I had worked together, let's say, and 10 years later, I had moved to Calgary or something, and she was writing me, here's what we've done. So it was a really good crystallization of the project. The third project was not one that people wanted to take on, so we had people like Jane interested, Bob, of course, myself, and a few others. And it wasn't that they didn't want it to be done, they just thought it's impossible, too much money, too much time, nobody will be behind it. So we took the third project, and we were naive about it, I suppose, but one thing you have to have is a clear, concise vision of what you want to do. And you just look at that lighthouse. It projects its own vision. You don't have to dream it up, it's right there. But when you got out there at that time, it was just a mess. There was junk all over, old batteries that had been used in the lighthouse. The house was pretty much destroyed, and the lighthouse was in better shape, but it still needed a lot of work. So we organized a very small group of people. We had this Marine Heritage Society. Jane was on the board, I was, Bob Trelford, and a couple other guys, Ron Seaman and John MacArthur. And we just had this tight vision. And one of the guys was a builder. And he said, well, it's a building project. The only problem is it's 1.5 miles out there, and you can't forget nails. If you go out there, you can't forget nails. So the whole thing coalesced into a group of people that had this vision, the same vision, and we came from people in the community knew us. They knew that we weren't crazy, and they allowed us to get going, but nobody contributed much at the start. And then Doug Huber, who grew up on the island because his dad was a lighthouse keeper, and he's my age, same age, so he gave us $1,500, and that was almost symbolic because the rest of the town said, well, if Doug thinks it's possible, maybe it is. So my role in it became, Jane had a marketing role in talking to the people that she's known all her life up and down the beach here. My role was trying to project this image in a broader sense throughout Bruce County and beyond. So I began putting a presentation to go, and to date I've done 92 of them, all over Ontario, but even beyond to the Maritimes. And it's the same projection of getting a concise image, creating a top 5 list of things you got to work on. Don't interject the 6th item until you've finished one of the 5. If you don't disagree with one of the 5, we'll bump it off and get the 6th one on. And then get started, because we had no government approvals, nothing. And we took one of our members, Jim McClay, and he was assigned to deal with the government. Another one was he was to deal only with the town. So I had my role, everybody had their role, Bob's role. Bob was kind of the construction foreman on the job. And we started just cutting our own trees, which impressed people. Milling our own stuff, impressed people. We had no boat. We had a 12-foot aluminum boat. We talked the town into giving us a water rescue boat that had been decommissioned and was laying dormant. Step by step. One of the big projections of our image was we needed to take stones, you know, 1,000-pound stones out there. We got another guy with a barge to take them out there. So the whole town saw, here's this barge, these guys are really serious. So the whole thing grew. We had former lighthouse keepers like the Hubers and the Nechtels. They got behind it. And we began to raise money in significant amounts. We decided early on not to go for government grants because that would almost prejudice with the town, because the town is interested in health care. You're taking money away from that, you're doing this. It would take a long time. So we decided to raise our own funds and do everything ourselves that we could do. And we had magical days. We set a limit. We started in 1997. We said, summer of 2001, we want to open up for business. And we made that on August 11, 2001. We were set to go. Jane got all the furnishings there. I remember the day that she finished getting all the furnishing. I looked in the keeper's quarters from outside and she was stretched out on the couch. She was exhausted. It was really fun. It was a magical time, and all the volunteers that got involved with it. There's something about that island. It's the smell of it in the summertime. The warmth, you get on it and it's warmer. In the fall, it's the last, it stays warm because of the rocks. Everything is magical about it. And picture us as little children here. That was Treasure Island to all of us, you know. It was just out of our reach, right? I mean, it's close, but still out of our reach. The light, everything is magical about it. So the whole town got behind us, and we raised one heck of a lot of money with very little effort. But I gave talks to just about every women's institute in Bruce County. I gave talks. I didn't care if it was 8 people or 800. I got the same pitch, and that began to, we became actually the icons, the iconic volunteer group in Canada relative to lighthouses. We get, you know, last year I went down and testified in front of the Senate, and I thought, well, what the heck, they're too busy. I'm going to get down there, they'll say come back 8 weeks from now or something. But no, they listened very carefully, and they got the whole thing. In fact, when we were done with our presentation, they stood up and they clapped. It was really, because we didn't ask them for anything. The first council meeting that the only thing we were interested in from the town, don't put stop signs up. Don't put caution signs. Either tell us no or say okay. And so I gave this presentation. Then we turned out the lights, and we had one of our guys sing a song that he had composed, you know, about Chantry Island. On the rugged shores of Lake Huron, the seasons have come and gone, of men and boats and harbors in a storm. That was the opening verse of this thing. And the council, usually they sit there because everybody wants something. The first thing I said was, we don't want anything. We don't want any money from you. We just want your approval to go ahead. And because we had to be under the town umbrella insurance. Otherwise, project wouldn't go anyplace. The Coast Guard and Fisheries and Oceans saw that we were serious. The birding people saw we were serious. All the government agencies saw we were serious, and they became more Catholic than the Pope. They were, I mean, we were more protective of the birds than the birding people were. We were more concerned with the fish and wildlife than the fish and wildlife were. we cleaned up the mess that they do when they come around and assess the health of the birds. So it's a magical opportunity and a magical time, and luckily enough, the people we had involved were older but still young enough to do something by ourselves, and we had no qualms that we would be successful. Even in the commercial aspects of it, keeping it maintained, and volunteer running a gift shop here that you've seen, the tour business gets booked. We were selected, I think, as Ontario's top tourist thing, so all that's been positive. For me, it's been a wonderful experience. I learn a lot.